The Battle of Pluto was one of the earliest engagements of the Solar War, when the Traitor Legions under Warmaster Horus began encroaching upon the Sol system and the Imperium of man's Throneworld of Terra during the later years of the Horus Heresy in 10M31. This campaign began as infiltration forces and bombing raids from without, and Dark Mechanicum attacks and attempted breakouts from besieged traitor forces en masse from within to test the defenses of the Throneworld of humanity. The Alpha Legion carried out multiple diversionary attacks of sabotage and preparation, which plunged the Sol system into complete chaos. Their true target, however, was the fortress moon of Hydra, which orbited Pluto. Here the Primarchs Alpharius Omegon would be confronted by Rogal Dorn. Let's see what happened. As the Horus Heresy raged throughout the galaxy, Rogal Dorn fortified the defenses of the Throneworld and the Sol system for the traitors' inevitable push on Terra. Spheres of defenses were created that extended from the literal walls of the Imperial Palace to the darkness beyond the edge of the Sol system. On this outer wall stood the Praetorian of Terra, Rogal Dorn and his Imperial Fists. All the defenses and forces within each sphere were commanded by a senior Imperial Fist raised to the rank of Lord Castellan by Rogal Dorn. The first sphere was the outermost and came under the command of Sigismund. The second was commanded by Halprecht, while the third, under Ifrid, enclosed the Martian battle sphere and had the traitorous Dark Mechanicum tech priests present on the red planet bottled up. Terra was marshaled by Rogal Dorn himself. The Imperial Fist's forces in the solar system were divided between each of these commands, along with 1,000 more warships, void defenses, and millions of mortal troops. Separated by millions of kilometers, Vox signals sent between the forces assigned to each sphere took solar hours to reach each other. When the traitor invasion finally came, word would pass by a single astropathic flare, a psychic message that moved as fast as thought, that said that the traitors had come to the walls of the solar system. Fire on the mountains. With its network of operatives and bondsmen and women, it is believed that even in the state of civil war that the Imperium had fallen into, the Alpha Legion had the means and opportunities to transfer material and personnel between sectors, including the Segmentum Solar and the strategically vital Sol system. Given the Alpha Legion's need to prove its own superiority, it would not simply suffice to break open Terra's outer defenses. To humiliate the 7th Legion, they would have to infiltrate the most secure location in the entire galaxy, the Imperial Palace itself. Activating assets that had been dormant and hidden on Terra for several standard decades, the Alpha Legion would eventually succeed where all others had failed before, infiltrating several agents within the Imperial Palace and especially the Investiary, where great statues had been erected to commemorate the Great Crusade's greatest generals, the Primarchs of the 20 Space Marine Legions. 2 plinths had stood empty for a long time, the statues adorning them destroyed, when their respective owners were cast to oblivion and their history erased, the lost Primarchs. But the 9 statues of those Primarchs, having turned against the Emperor, had merely been covered up. This was the Alpha Legion's target. Infiltrated Legionnaires succeeded in penetrating the Investiary and destroyed all the statues, except 2 of them, those of Alpharius and Rogal Dorn, intended as both a challenge and a message. This feat was deliberately kept secret from the other organizations within the Imperial Palace. Even the Regent of Terra, Malcador the Sigillite, and the Emperor's own bodyguards, the Legio Custodes, were forbidden to enter the Investiary and witness the shaming of the Imperial Fists. By what means the Sigillites still discovered the presence of the Alpha Legion on Terra remains a mystery, but Rogal Dorn was adamant that he would deal with the 20 Legion in due course. The Alpha Legion fleet approached at minimum speed and powered its vessels down to the bare minimum in order to reduce their overall heat signature. Thus, it took an entire standard year for the Alpha Legion fleet to drift towards Sol and successfully reach the outskirts of Terra's defenses undetected, as warp travel had been strictly forbidden. At the same time, Alpha Legion Sparatoi, augmented and highly adept human agents, as well as Alpha Legion operative teams, activated throughout the Sol system. These sleeper cells had been planted Terran years earlier before the outbreak of the Horus Heresy, and upon activation perform their primary functions of sowing destruction and diversionary terrorist acts. Multiple acts of murder and sabotage were conducted on a number of planets to distract the beleaguered Imperial defenders from the Alpha Legion's true objective, Pluto, the linchpin of the Loyalist surveillance network within the Sol system. As Rogal Dorn was distracted by these diversionary attacks across the system, Alfarius' fleet, comprised of over 200 vessels led by the Alpha, struck Pluto and its moons Charon, Kerberos, Nyx, Styx, and finally Hydra. As the fleet arrived, a further uprising, instigated by the Alpha Legion infiltrator teams, erupted across the Sol system. The Alpha Legion's primary objective was Hydra, a fortress moon that orbited Pluto and was a major astrobatic monitoring station. Alfarius himself led a team of Alpha Legion warriors in the attack on the moon. Meanwhile, the Loyalist defenders led by First Captain Sigismund had just 30 ships to defend against the massive Alpha Legion fleet. Due to the unexpected and brutal assault, the severely outnumbered Loyalist fleet was badly mauled by fire ships hidden among the Alpha Legion fleet to wreak havoc on Imperial Fist's defenders. The captured fortress moon of Kerberos rained down deadly fire upon Charon, Nyx, and Styx with heavy weapons. Despite facing overwhelming odds, the Imperial Fists stood their ground in the face of the Alpha Legion's overwhelming assault. Meanwhile, Archimus, Rogal Dorn's master of the Huskals, was eventually able to deduce the Alpha Legion's true intentions, to sabotage the Imperial Astropatic Monitoring Network centered on Hydra. During the fighting, Archimus led a Huskal contingent in a daring assault upon the Alpha Legion force led by Primarch Alfarius himself. In the subsequent fighting, the Huskals were killed, and Archimus was left mortally wounded. All seemed lost, as the battle seemed to swing in favor of the traitor forces. But miraculously, the Imperial Fist Star Fortress Phalanx, led by Rogal Dorn himself, arrived with a massive Imperial Fist fleet in tow. They were boosted by additional reinforcements from the Armada Imperialis. Dorn and his remaining Huskals teleported directly into the astrobatic chamber on Hydra, and soon joined battle against Alfarius and his elite Lernine Terminators. Archimus logged on helplessly as the two Primarchs fought one another in an epic life or death duel. When Alfarius was about to impale Dorn with his Bale Spear, the now dying Archimus attempted to intervene in the battle after spotting Alfarius was primed for a killing blow. However, his Sikhs rebounded harmlessly off of the spear's haft. Archimus was unaware that Dorn had anticipated the strike, and stepped in to take the blow with his shoulder to pin Alfarius in place, then grabbed the spear with one hand, and using his deadly chain sword, Storm's Teeth, Dorn sliced through Alfarius' wrists, severing his hands from his arms, before slashing his brother across the chest and impaling him with his own spear. Finally, Dorn finished off Alfarius with a deadly chop of his mighty chain sword into the top of his brother's skull. With the death of their Primarch, the Alpha Legion fleet withdrew and retreated from Pluto. At the moment of his twin Primarch's death, Omegon sensed the demise of his sibling and became distant. Shortly thereafter, he was notified that the Warmaster demanded that Alfarius speak with him so that he could know the status of the Alpha Legion's attack on the Sol system. Like he had done many times before, Omegon immediately took upon himself his brother's name and permanently assumed the mantle of sole Primarch of the 20 Legion. Alright guys, thanks a lot for watching. If you made it this far, then surely you will enjoy this video explaining how Rogal Dorn and the Imperial Fists were ambushed by Batrabo's Iron Warriors in the Iron Cage. So don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay tuned for more.